Hey folks, this is John again, and I wanted to go over a kind of a crevasse rescue equipment list. So when you watch the snow anchor video, or if you go through the AMJ progression of the crevasse rescue, from catching a fall to building an anchor, transferring the load, um, rappelling into the crevasse, ascending out of the crevasse, prepping the lip, and doing the haul, you'd have some idea of the gear that the presenters in the video are using. And so I just wanted to go over some of the basics. And sure, this is um, you can. I'm going to be using this presentation for my mountaineering class as well as for my search and rescue class, and I think the two of them dovetail in really well right here. If you're mountaineering and you're climbing on a glacier, you're going to want to have this gear with you. And if you're on a search and rescue team and you're in an area with glaciers and crevasse hazards, as you go into a call, you're probably going to have some variation of this kit with you as well. And so most of this is just kind of standard rock climbing gear. It transfers over into the mountaineering world quite well. And so kind of just go through it all. We got a belay device here, and I'll take a picture of all the stuff at the end and throw it up on D2L, but just kind of a standard tube style belay device. We've got a couple cordelettes. This one is a 6 mil cordelette, and this is a 7 millimeter cordelette. They're both nylon. So in this context, cordelettes are helpful for anchor building or backing up anchors. For cordelettes, you can also use them as to help with your rope ascension. So having a couple, two cordelettes can be pretty darn handy. The 6 millimeter cordelette is going to bind better to a smaller rope than the 7 millimeter cordelette, but you can make them both work if you're careful with your knots and your hitches. So we got some cordelettes. We've got some friction hitches. So we've got the hollow block here. We use the hollow block for all of our hull systems. The Sterling hollow block is a really cool tool for friction hitches. And then just another bit of that 6 mil cord. 6 mil cord that could be used for a friction hitch. This is tied with a double fisherman's knot right here. So this is indispensable for a glacier or for rock climbing environment. This little piece of cord can get you out of a lot of trouble. Other things, here's another one. This is what I use for the tandem rappel. This is a 48-inch nylon runner. 48-inch nylon has lots of advantages. It's a little bit heavier than the more techy stuff, but it binds pretty well for friction hitches, and I like having a little bit of nylon on me in the mountains. I'll twist that one up again. This is one way to twist up and store your nylon double length runners. And then I have a Dyneema double length runner as well. It's stored a little bit differently, but this is a 48-inch Dyneema runner. Tends to be many people's preferences for alpine climbing, glacier travel. It doesn't absorb water quite as much as a nylon. It's also a little bit lighter, but it's doesn't do quite as well with friction hitches. It has a lower melting point, so if you are using them for friction hitches, time and time again, you can toast them, and they're quite a bit more expensive than the nylon ones. So definitely awesome tool, but needs to be used appropriately, or you'll wear through it and need to get a new one. And then for glacier travel, if you own a micro traction, Petzl micro traction, this is a great opportunity to have it. If you own a micro traction, you'll want to bring it out with you on rescue missions or on just general mountaineering when you're on a glacier, or ski mountaineering while you're on a glacier. So that is the micro traction. And you'll notice that Jeff, who's doing one of the haul systems in the AMGA video, he creates a 6-to-1. He drops the loop down, redirects the brakes, redirects the haul strand through a micro traction before he builds his 3-to-1. So he's using this as his progress capture, and it's a super cool tool. We've already talked about it a bunch in these courses, but for haul systems, the micro traction is a wonderful resource. You can even use it for rope ascension. If you had it on you and you fell in a crevasse, you can use it to ascend up ropes. So lots of really cool resources for the Petzl micro traction. And then I just have another carabiner. This is a round stock carabiner, And if you look at some of the differences between the I-beam carabiners versus the round stocks, ropes are going to run smoother over the round stock carabiners. And while that may not matter in a day-to-day context, if you're hauling, these are going to have a little less friction than the I-beam carabiners. So it is nice having a few round stock carabiners with you because they do decrease friction and the ropes run quite smoothly over them. So if I was going to drop somebody a drop C, I might try to drop them the loop with a round stock carabiner to minimize the friction. And then other tools, this is kind of a standard mountaineering ice axe, which is pretty common for glacier mountaineering. And so it's a standard ice axe. The parts of the ice axe, this is the pick, this is the adze, and this is the spike, and this is the shaft. We'll use the adze. I'll kind of go over some of the ways you might use the adze for anchors in a second. And it's also common for longer glacier climbs to have two ice axes. One of the ice axes has an adze, the other ice axe has a hammer. And so when you make your snow anchor, depending on the snow conditions, you might dig in the snow with the adze, or you might use a hammer to hammer in your piece of protection. Come back to that in 1 second. Another thing that's always worth having with you on a glacier is an ice screw. These ice screws can back up your anchor. If there's a blue glacier ice on the surface, you might use an ice screw as part of your anchor system. Or if you fall in a crevasse, you can plug an ice screw in. So ice screw, you take off the rubber tip, and it's got these sharp points and these threads. This one is called an express screw. It can go in quite easily. But if you fall in a crevasse, you can actually take some weight off the system by putting an ice screw in and clipping into it. It can make your partner's life a little bit easier. So it's pretty much standard issue. Everyone on a glacier is going to have an ice screw with them. And if you're in a search and rescue team, you're definitely going to have a whole fleet of ice screws with you. So ice screw is part of our glacier kit. And then there's a snow picket. So snow pickets, generally everybody has a snow picket on a glacier travel team, or if you're in a guided party, perhaps just the guide has one or two. But these are kind of the general anchor for glacier travel. So when Jeff catches the fall, or Emily goes over her demonstrations in the AMGA videos, they're showing you how to make anchors with these snow pickets. So the snow pickets, you can see it's got a pointy side here. Depending on the snow conditions, you might be placing the picket vertically, or you might be placing the picket horizontally. This is where these runners come in quite handy. So they go over this in the video, so I'm not going to spend too much time making anchors, plus it'd be silly to do right now. But to kind of set the picket up, you take your runner through, you girth hitch the runner through like so. And so if it's really firm snow, thinking like if you've had an avalanche course, we're talking like 1 finger pencil hard snow, you might be able to place a snow picket vertically. To place a snow picket vertically, this is where your hammer comes in. You would tilt it back a few degrees, and you'd hammer it into the snow. And so as part of catching the fall and making the anchor, this you might place a vertical snow picket. If the snow is softer or less uniform, you're going to place the snow picket horizontally. So to do that, you take your runner and you girth hitch it through the center of the snow picket. Girth hitch it through the center of the snow picket, just like so. And so then now I've got a snow picket that I can bury in the snow, and this is called a T-trench or a T-slot. Emily goes over variations of this, but the adze of the ice axe is what you use to dig in the snow. So you're digging in the snow, and you're creating a trench for the snow picket. You place the picket in, and then you can backfill it with snow if you want. You can even back it up. You can see you can even back it up with an ice axe in front of it. So there's a couple ways to add some extra security. And so that's kind of how the snow anchors get constructed. So in those AMGA videos, when they talk about making snow anchors, they're generally going over making anchors with a couple different kinds of pickets. They have some variations on these. I think they use the red pickets, but the pretty similar concept. You can bury them, horizontally in the snow, or you can bang them in vertically or off vertically. So that's a component of glacier travel. You can also use an ice screw as an anchor or to back up an anchor. Ideally, you're not just hauling off one snow picket or one ice screw. You back it up with something. So you get creative. You can bury your ice axe. You can bury your crampons. There's a variety of ways to back up your anchor. As you're reefing on an anchor with a mechanical advantage system, hull system, you're adding more force to that anchor, and so unless it's a perfectly placed anchor, you probably want to back it up. Perfectly placed anchor in perfect snow, which doesn't always happen in the mountains. So that's kind of an overview of the Crevasse Rescue Kit, and you'll see all of these tools come out in the rescue videos. But just to review, we have ice axes. There's two variations here. This is an adze. This is a hammer. So on a glacier, you'll probably, at least one team member will carry a hammer, and everyone's general mountaineering axe should have an adze on it. So we have ice axes. We've got snow pickets, ice screws for anchors. Micro traction is kind of a specific piece of gear for the progress capture. And then we kind of go through all the tools that we've been using thus far. A bunch of cord for friction hitches, hollow block, and just some standard 6mm nylon. We've got a collection of cordelettes, 7mm cordelette and a 6mm cordelette. If you're purely in the mountains, you could go with two 6mm cordelettes. The 7mm is kind of beefy, but nothing wrong with it. Standard tube style belay device, and a round stock carabiner. Just kind of a variety of gear that you'll see come out in the videos, and also if you start putting together a kind of a mechanical advantage and hull system kit or a glacier travel kit, you'll see most of these components on there. Awesome. Thanks so much. Hopefully that helps with watching the videos and explaining some of the basics of Crevasse Rescue. Do dig into the AMGA videos. They're on D2L, and the Mechanical Advantage 2 video that I posted last week has some great links to Joe Stock's website about Crevasse Rescue. Cool. We'll see you in a bit.